See that down there? 96 homes, swimming pools, parks, $51 million in construction, on my 85 acres, and the HOA president who built it. She thought I'd never find out. Here's what she didn't know: I'm a civil engineer. I watched every foundation pour, every wall frame, every roof tile. For 14 months I let her spend every dollar while I built my case. Then I walked into court and showed the judge one piece of paper, the deed with my uncle's name on it. Real signature, not the forgery she used. Arizona law's beautiful. Improvements made by a trespasser belong to the property owner. She built me a $51 million neighborhood. Question: what would you do if someone started building on your land? Stop them immediately or let them finish? Drop it in the comments and tell me your state. I need to know if this HOA nightmare is everywhere. My name's Dalton Mercer, 52 years old, spent 30 years as a civil engineer, building highways and water treatment plants across the Southwest. Made decent money, burned out completely, took an early buyout at 49. Then Uncle Vernon died and left me 340 acres of Arizona scrubland. The land's mostly rocks and rattlesnakes. One seasonal creek that runs 3 months a year when we're lucky. I run 40 head of cattle, check fence twice daily, and spend my afternoons in a woodworking shop building furniture nobody buys. My wife Iris, trauma nurse at Phoenix General, toughest person you'll ever meet, says moving out here saved my life. She's probably right. The property's landlocked except for a 60-foot easement to the county road. Not exactly prime real estate, but it's mine. Or it was supposed to be. Early July morning. I'm walking the northwest fence line when I see them. Orange survey stakes. Dozens of them, bright plastic tape snapping in the hot wind. Then the sound, diesel engines rumbling, earth-moving equipment staging on my land. I drive straight to the Maricopa County Recorder's office. There's a filed permit. Planned Unit Development, Sunset Ridge HOA Corporation. 96 single-family homes. Full infrastructure. The document includes an intent to sell supposedly signed by Uncle Vernon 3 years ago, except I know it's fake the second I see it. Uncle Vernon had Parkinson's disease. His signature looked like a seismograph during an earthquake, all tremors and jagged lines. This signature, smooth as butter, practiced, forged. The recording clerk, an older woman with kind eyes, leans across the counter, lowers her voice. Third case like this in 2 years. Developers target elderly rural owners, fabricate paperwork, pray nobody notices until the concrete's poured. I'm standing in the parking lot, 98-degree heat radiating off the asphalt, when a white Land Rover pulls up. Vanity plate, roll-fold route steps, Delphine Cray. 61, real estate attorney. Designer sunglasses that cost more than my monthly mortgage. Doesn't introduce herself. Just walks up and smiles like we're old friends. Mr. Mercer, your uncle was a very confused man toward the end. Senile, really. But he shook my hand on this sale. Arizona common law recognizes verbal agreements. It doesn't. I know it doesn't, she continues before I can respond. My husband, Hal, is the county planning commissioner. He approved our permits personally. Judge Arvin Halverson, he handles all land disputes in this district, is my brother-in-law. 4 of the 5 HOA board members are my legal clients. She pauses. Lets that sink in. You're welcome to fight this. You'll lose. And you'll spend a fortune losing. The threat hangs in the air, thick as the diesel exhaust drifting from the construction site. I hire an attorney that afternoon. Gideon Moss, Phoenix-based land fraud specialist with a reputation for winning cases other lawyers won't touch. We meet in his office that evening. He reviews the documents, and I watch his expression shift from concern to something close to delight. This is amateur hour, he says. Forged signature on a man with documented cognitive impairment. We can get an injunction tomorrow. Stop construction cold. Then he leans back in his chair, studies me, and hear me out, we let them build. I stare at him. You want me to let them steal my land? Arizona Revised Statutes, Section 121101. Property law's simple. Improvements made by a trespasser belong to the rightful property owner. They spend $50 million building these homes. We prove the land's yours. You own everything. Every house, every street, every fire hydrant. My engineering brain catches up. So the more they invest, the more you gain when we win, Gideon grins. It's beautiful, really. What about the families who buy these homes? His expression turns serious. They're purchasing property under fraudulent title. Better they discover that now before they move in, than 5 years from now when we take it back. We'll make the quiet title action public record. Any buyer who does basic due diligence will see the red flag and pull out. I drive home. The smell of wet concrete already hanging in the desert air, even though they've barely broken ground. That night I tell Iris everything. She listens, then pulls up her laptop. Shows me 3 news articles spanning 5 years. Delphine Cray has done this before. Tucson widow who settled for $80,000. Flagstaff teacher who died during litigation. Family dropped the case. Another attempted land grab that quietly disappeared when the family lawyered up. If you stop her now, Iris says, tapping the screen, she finds another elderly victim next month. Some rancher who doesn't have an engineer's brain or the money to fight. But if you take everything, if you let her build her empire and then destroy it, she's done, finished, bankrupt. She's right. Of course she's right. I'm a civil engineer. I spent 30 years building infrastructure projects, bridges, treatment plants, systems that required precision, patience, and the ability to see 10 steps ahead. Now I'm going to build something different, a trap. Week 2, construction crews arrive at dawn. Bulldozers carve foundation trenches through caliche and red dirt. The crunch of gravel under steel tracks. Metallic clang of rebar bundles dropped from flatbeds. Diesel fumes mixing with creosote and sage. I stand at the fence line, watch. Document everything with my phone, don't say a word. Week 3, Delphine files a countersuit. Claims I've been harassing construction workers and threatening violence. Complete fabrication, but Judge Halverson, her corrupt brother-in-law, issues a restraining order anyway. I'm prohibited from approaching within 500 feet of the construction zone. The local news runs the HOA's press release that evening. Greedy rancher obstructs affordable housing project. Perfect. Let them think they're winning. Month 2, Delphine goes full propaganda mode. She starts recruiting home buyers, 20% below market rate. Specifically targets military veterans and young families, the kind of people who generate sympathetic news coverage and make you look like a villain if you oppose them. Week 8, she holds a town hall, brings in couples with kids, shows videos of children playing, emotional piano music. The works local news runs it that night. Veterans pursue dream homes face cruel rancher. I'm officially the bad guy. Then she amends her lawsuit. New allegations. I pointed a rifle at workers, made threats, used racial slurs. Complete fiction. But now it's in legal documents. Public record. My name attached to lies. Here's my countermove. I installed 12 wildlife cameras around the property. Motion-activated night vision, time-stamped footage. Every truck, every worker, every moment. Proof I've never been within 500 feet of that construction zone. Meanwhile, Gideon files our quiet title action. 3 exhibits that matter. 1. Uncle Vernon's medical records 2017 through 2021. Parkinson's diagnosis. Cognitive decline. His neurologist's notes from March 2018. Patient lacks capacity to execute legal contracts. 2. The forged intent to sell, dated November 2020, 2 years, after he was legally incompetent. 3. Forensic handwriting analysis, showing the signature's fake knowledge nugget time. Arizona law says if someone has documented mental incapacity, any contract they sign is automatically void. Not voidable, void. Like it never existed. No wiggle room for judges. We prove Uncle Vernon couldn't legally sign contracts. The whole deal collapses like a house of cards, which, ironically, is exactly what Delphine's building. Gideon files motions to dissolve the restraining order and sanction Delphine for perjury. Then he does something brilliant. Sends formal public notice to all 96 home buyers. You are purchasing property under active title litigation. Title insurance may not cover your losses if you proceed with knowledge of this dispute. 3. Families pull out within 48 hours. Delphine loses her mind. That's when our paralegal finds the golden ticket. Gray Shield Title, Delphine's own insurance company, is the company insuring this fraudulent sale. Read that again. If we win, her company pays the claims. $50 million, bankruptcy, game over. She's not fighting to keep the development anymore. She's fighting to avoid financial ruin. Gideon calls me. She's pot committed. Can't fold even if she wants to. Poker analogy? Oh, you got a better one. That evening I'm at the fence line, watching foundations cure, framing going up, jackhammers echoing off canyon walls like war drums. 3 families escaped, smart ones who read the paperwork. 93 didn't. Every wall they frame, I think about some teacher or nurse who saved for a decade, signed a contract, and has no idea they're buying a lawsuit. Iris finds me after sunset, stands beside me without speaking. Finally, doubts, daily. That's called having a conscience, she says. We're still doing the right thing. Delphine created this mess, not you. The smell of curing concrete drifts across the property. Sweet, almost pleasant, if you don't think about what it costs. Month 3. Delphine's drowning and grabbing at straws. She files an adverse possession claim. Pure desperation. Her argument: the HOA has openly, notoriously, and exclusively occupied this land for 120 consecutive days. Therefore, we own it. Small problem. Arizona law requires 10 years of continuous possession for adverse possession claims. She's been there 4 months. But Judge Halverson schedules a preliminary hearing anyway. His clerk, sympathetic to our side, lets slip that he's planning to rule for the HOA. The corruption isn't even subtle anymore. Gideon files an emergency appeal to Arizona. Superior Court goes straight over Halverson's head. The legal basis is airtight. Arizona Code of Judicial Conduct, Section 2, Dun 11. Judges must recuse if they, their spouse, or close family have economic interest in case outcomes. Hal Cray, Delphine's husband, the county planning commissioner, personally approved every HOA permit. Zoning variances, infrastructure plans, everything. And Judge Arvin Halverson is Delphine's brother-in-law. That's not a conflict of interest. That's a criminal conspiracy with family discounts. Here's your second knowledge nugget. Judicial recusal is mandatory when family members benefit financially. File a motion citing your state's judicial code. Most judges will step aside immediately, rather than face disciplinary hearings. Document everything. Family trees, business relationships, property records. The law's on your side. Superior Court agrees. Halverson's removed. New assignment: Judge Miranda Wolf, 68, former federal prosecutor. Sent hedge fund criminals to prison for decades. Zero tolerance for corruption. Delphine just lost her bulletproof vest. While we're waiting for the next hearing, I hire an independent surveyor. Want absolute certainty on property boundaries. He returns 3 days later, actually laughing. You're not going to believe this. He spreads survey maps across my kitchen table. Delphine's legal description is wrong. Off by 190 feet. I lean forward. Meaning what exactly? Even if Uncle Vernon had signed that document, which we know he didn't, it references parcel 447B. That's Bureau of Land Management land. Federal property. The room goes silent. So she forged a document selling land that legally doesn't exist. In the worst possible way, yes. When I tell Gideon, he literally chokes on his coffee. She forged a deed, bribed a judge, spent millions on construction, and got the property boundaries wrong. Apparently. That's like robbing a bank and realizing halfway through you're actually in a Starbucks. First court appearance before Judge Wolf. The room smells like decades of wood polish and institutional fluorescent lighting. Bailiff's leather holster creaks whenever he moves. Delphine sits across the aisle. Designer suit perfectly pressed. Jasmine perfume so overpowering I can taste it from 15 feet away. Classic intimidation tactic. Judge Wolf enters. No pleasantries. All business counselors, I've reviewed all motions. Let's proceed. Delphine's smile looks like it's been stapled to her face. Beautiful month 4. Delphine goes full scorched earth. She hires a crisis PR firm out of Scottsdale. Within a week, billboards appear across Phoenix. Support our veterans, stop greedy Mercer. Radio spots during rush hour. Facebook ads targeting anyone over 45. She organizes a protest at my ranch gate. 40 people with signs. Most are paid activists bust in from Tempe. I recognize the same faces from other protests I've seen on the news. Professional outrage. Then she files witness statements with Judge Wolf. 5. People swearing Uncle Vernon verbally promised the land to the HOA at various community meetings between 2018 and 2021. Problem. Uncle Vernon was a hermit who watched Wheel of Fortune and fed stray cats. He never attended a community meeting in his life, but the statements are notarized. Official. In the court record. My move? Complete silence, no press conferences, no Facebook rants, nothing. Instead, I document everything. Drone footage every Sunday at dawn. Time-stamped construction photos. Soil compaction tests. I'm building an evidence file that would make the FBI jealous. Meanwhile, Gideon keeps reminding me, Arizona Law Section 12-1101, if someone builds on your land without permission, you keep the improvements, period. No compensation owed. Here's the takeaway. Trespassers get nothing. Not even material costs. So the more they invest, the more you gain when you win. Every nail they hammer is money in my pocket. Then comes the beautiful part. 3 homebuyers, smart ones, hire independent title searches. All 3 discover our quiet title action in public records. All 3 withdraw their contracts immediately and demand full refunds. Delphine refuses. Says deposits are non-refundable per contract terms. Those 3 families file complaints with the Arizona Department of Real Estate. By week's end, the state opens a formal investigation into Cray Shield Title for fraudulent sales practices. Her license, her company. Everything's on the line now. That night, Iris finds me on the porch. Construction lights glow across the valley like some alien installation. You've been quiet all day. House number 47, I say. Teacher and an ER nurse. Saved 8 years for that down payment. I saw their loan application in Discovery. She sits beside me. Waits. When I take that house, they lose everything. When Delphine loses that house, Iris corrects, they're victims of her fraud. You're not stealing from them. You're the consequence of her crime. Big difference. Doesn't feel different. But it is. Fresh-cut lumber smell drifts on the wind. A coyote howls somewhere in the dark. Generators hum continuously. Construction never really stops. I could end this tomorrow, I say. 1 injunction. But then she just finds another elderly victim next year. True. Besides, Iris adds, you're an engineer. This is what you do. Build things. You're just building justice instead of bridges. I look at her. That's either profound or completely insane. She shrugs. Trauma nurse. I've seen worse rationalizations. Month 4, week 3. Gideon's paralegal, Tim, 26, survives on Red Bull and righteous anger. Spends 3 days in the county recorder's basement archive, fluorescent lights flickering. Smell of old paper and toner ink. Boxes dating back to 2015, he finds HOA meeting minutes. Scanned PDFs buried in public. Records. Tim calls me at 11 p.m. You need to see this now. The patterns. Undeniable. March 2019, Delphine. Proposes streamlined acquisition strategy for underutilized rural parcels. Translation, target elderly owners. Tucson widow settles for $80,000. Property worth $600,000. Delphine flips it in 90 days. September 2020. Flagstaff retired teacher. Fights back. Dies of stroke during litigation. Grieving family drops case. May 2021, Uncle Vernon. Meeting notes say high priority target identified. 2022-2023. 2 more attempts. Both families lawyer up immediately. Delphine withdraws before filing. This isn't real estate. It's predation with a business license. Then Tim finds the nuclear bomb. Delphine's handwritten margin notes on Uncle Vernon's file. Blue ballpoint pen. Her distinctive cursive. Parkinson's confirmed. Hand tremor severe. Nephew Dalton lives in Tempe. Visits 2x a year maximum. Cognitive decline probable per neighbors. Perfect vulnerability profile. Coordinate with AH for initial orders. AH. Arvin Halverson. The judge. She documented her own conspiracy. Gideon files federal RICO charges within 48 hours. Pattern of fraud. Wire fraud. Judicial corruption. Penalty. 20 years federal prison, asset forfeiture, HOA dissolution. FBI white-collar division opens investigation. Everything shifts. I'm not recovering stolen land anymore. I'm stopping a predator who's been hunting elderly victims for 5 years. Some rancher I'll never meet. Some grandmother in Yuma. Construction's 65% done, roofs, electrical, plumbing. From the ridge, it looks like a real community. Judge Wolf schedules final hearing from month 7. If I lose, it's permanent, but I won't lose. Delphine built an empire on stolen land and forged signatures. I'm about to bury her in both. Gideon's conference room becomes war headquarters. Gideon Moss, legal mastermind. Whiteboard covered in case citations. Timelines in 3 colors. Coffee stains on every surface. Sienna Vo, forensic accountant. Former IRS agent who quit because auditing tax returns was boring. Now she hunts money through shell companies for sport. Already traced 7 corporations back to Delphine. Marcus Toole, retired FBI, served with Uncle Vernon in Vietnam. Still wears suits like he's testifying before Congress. Knows RICO law better than most federal prosecutors. Dr. Petra Lange, handwriting expert. Can't identify pen brands and hand dominance from signature loops. Analyzed the forgery 14 ways. Conclusion: amateur hour community coalition. 6 ranchers within 60 miles all fighting HOA land grabs. Their amicus brief shows this isn't isolated, it's epidemic. Our strategy's 5-pronged, civil. Quiet title proves forgery. Voids deed. Criminal RICO proves pattern. Delivers prison time. Regulatory. Ethics complaint disbars Halverson. Financial. 18 million in damages. Trespass. Distress legal fees. Public media exposes prior victims. Destroys Delphine's credibility. Sienna leans forward. Listen, Arizona public records are free online. County recorder website, grant or grantee index. Track every property transaction someone's made. Pattern recognition is your friend. Takeaway: if you suspect title fraud, screenshot everything and report to your state attorney general. It costs nothing but time. Marcus adds, HOAs file as non-profits but operate like businesses. Request their IRS Form 990, legally required disclosure. Board salaries, contracts, conflicts of interest. Takeaway: most HOA members never audit the books. You should, because self-dealing is rampant and prosecutable. The montage runs 2 weeks. Me at my laptop, 3 a.m., mapping Delphine's deals, red pins clustering across Phoenix. 7 elderly sellers, 4 years, 12 million in profit. Sienna with whiteboards, drawing lines between shell companies and Cayman accounts. Marcus squeaking like fingernails on possibilities. Gideon drilling cross-examination questions, while Iris plays Delphine. Your uncle was confused, Mr. Mercer. She's disturbingly convincing. Dr. Lang hunched over microscope, comparing signature tremors, Vernon's earthquake scribbles versus the forger's smooth confidence. Marcus color-coding witness statements, highlighting contradictions in yellow lies in red. More red than yellow. Conference room smells like burnt coffee and cold pepperoni. Stale air conditioning that never quite works. The fluorescent hum that becomes white noise after hour 6. We're taking down a lawyer, a judge, and an HOA, Iris observes. What's next? Gideon shuffles papers. Mayor's wife sits on Delphine's board. Of course she does, week 22. County clerk leaks to Delphine. FBI's investigating, she panics. Hires a private investigator to dig up dirt on me. Anything, affairs, tax evasion. Unpaid parking tickets. She needs ammunition. 3 weeks of surveillance. He follows me to Tractor Supply. Watches me fix fence in 100-degree heat. Sits outside my house at night. His final report, obtained through discovery later, concludes, subject leads remarkably boring life. No exploitable vices detected. Recommend alternative strategies. Translation: I'm too dull to blackmail. Delphine switches tactics. Anonymous Twitter accounts appear claiming I abused Uncle Vernon, forced him into a nursing home to steal his land. Except Vernon died at home. Hospice care. Iris held his hand. But facts don't matter in social media court. Then Delphine makes her biggest mistake. She approaches 2 home buyers privately. Offers $60,000 each to sign affidavits, saying I threatened them with a shotgun during construction. Both refuse. Both call Gideon within the hour. Witness tampering. Federal crime. She's building our case for us. My wildlife cameras, running 24/7 since day 1, catch something at 3:17 a.m. Infrared footage shows her PI trespassing on my property. Crouching near my barn, placing something in the dirt, I call the sheriff. They arrest him at dawn. PI's lawyer takes one look at the evidence and cuts a deal. Immunity for full cooperation. The testimony's devastating. Delphine hired him to plant drugs and an unregistered firearm on my property. Trigger a police raid. Get me arrested before trial. Destroy my credibility. Federal prosecutors add obstruction of justice. and evidence tampering to the RICO. Charges. Then Judge Halverson breaks FBI, shows him wire, transfers emails, his handwritten notes, coordinating with Delphine. He holds a press conference, mascara running from tears. I violated my oath. I betrayed public trust. I'm deeply, deeply sorry. He recuses from all HOA cases. Effective immediately. Too late, Arvin, way too late. Local newspaper runs the expose next morning. HOA president's 5-year fraud pattern. Interviews with victims. Photos of elderly sellers who lost everything. A GoFundMe appears for my legal fees. Hits $140,000 in 3 days. I donate every dollar to a non-profit helping seniors fight real estate fraud. The home buyers, 93 families who thought they were buying dream homes, file class action against Delphine. That evening, I watch from the ridge. 95 homes finished. Landscaping installed. Sprinklers running. Delphine's Land Rover speeds past. Dust plume rising like a distress flare. She's drowning, and I'm watching from shore. Week 26. Delphine files emergency motion before Judge Wolf. Her argument: construction 98% complete. Forced demolition harms 96 innocent families, eliminates 240 construction jobs, violates public policy. Court should mandate fair compensation. Settlement offer $3.2 million cash. I keep original acreage. HOA keeps development. Clean break. She appears on CNN's Phoenix affiliate that evening. Designer suit perfectly pressed. Tears that look almost real. Voice breaking at calculated moments. Mr. Mercer has every legal right to be cruel. I'm begging him. Don't punish these families for my mistakes. Mistakes, like forgery and judicial bribery, are accounting errors. I issue my first public statement in 6 months. Ms. Cray didn't make mistakes. She committed systematic fraud against elderly victims who couldn't fight back. I won't accept blood money so she can victimize someone else next year. Gideon counters with our demand. Dalton takes ownership of all 96 completed homes plus infrastructure, or Delphine pays $18 million damages and vacates. Either option bankrupts Cray Shield title. 3 days later, Sienna walks into our war room grinning like she won the lottery. Found it, wire transfers. $420,000. Cray Shield title to offshore account, Grand Cayman Islands. Account holder, Arvin Halverson. Better yet, email chain from Delphine's server. AH requires $35K monthly, 12 months. Worth the investment for judicial cooperation. She documented the bribery. In company emails, federal prosecutors upgrade immediately. RICO, money laundering, bribery of public officials. 2 days later, FBI arrests Judge Halverson at Phoenix Sky Harbor. Attempting to board Copa Airlines to Costa Rica. 3 suitcases, one-way ticket, no return date. News helicopters capture everything. Federal agents, handcuffs, the whole perp walk across sun-baked tarmac. Footage goes viral. 6 million views in 12 hours. The empire collapses in real-time. R.W. Jensen Construction files $6.8 million mechanics lien for unpaid invoices. 17 subcontractors join. Total claims hit 11 million. 8 separate lawsuits filed against. Cray Shield title. State Bar opens disbarment proceedings against Delphine Hal Cray, planning commissioner. Delphine's husband resigns to spend time with family. Reality avoiding indictment. Delphine's third attorney withdraws from the case. She's alone now. That night, Iris finds me on the porch. Smell of creosote after brief rain. News playing on my phone, Halverson footage looping. You okay? I just wanted quiet. Cattle and sunsets. You're fixing something bigger than fence. She sits. Those 96 families? You're saving them from a decade-long fraud nightmare. That's a better sunset. Trauma nurse philosophy? We see consequences daily. Makes you philosophical or cynical. I chose philosophical. On screen, Delphine's lawyer announces withdrawal. She's alone. Exactly where she left her victims. Maricopa County Superior Court. Final hearing. Gallery packed to fire code limits. 96 homebuyers, some sobbing, some stone-faced. 3 TV crews. FBI observers. My rancher coalition. Protesters outside with dueling signs. Justice for Mercer versus Save Our Homes. Local cable live streams everything. Delphine stands alone at defense table. Third attorney quit 48 hours ago. Her designer suit's wrinkled. Hair less perfect. Hands trembling as she grips her notes. Final argument delivered in voice that cracks. Your Honor, I made terrible errors. But these families signed contracts. They have children, mortgages. Mr. Mercer can bankrupt them over technicalities. So I'm begging, show mercy. Not for me, for them. Several homebuyers nod. One woman clutches her husband's hand. Judge Wolf turns to us. Mr. Moss? Your Honor, Mr. Mercer will present evidence personally. I walk to the stand. Courtroom smells like lemon furniture polish and fear sweat. Fluorescent tubes buzz. Court reporters' stenograph keys click like insect wings. I place 6 items on the evidence table. Look directly at Delphine. Ms. Cray. You built 96 homes on stolen land using forgery, bribery and conspiracy. You're asking for mercy. Let me show you what mercy looks like. Point to each exhibit. 1. Original deed, 1987. Uncle Vernon's real signature. Notarized and legal. 2. Medical records documenting Parkinson's and cognitive decline. 3 neurologists confirmed he lacked capacity after March 2018. 3. FBI forensic analysis. Your forged signature dated November 2020, 2 years after he was legally incompetent. 96.7% certainty it's fake. 4. Your handwritten HOA notes calling my uncle a perfect mark. 5. Wire transfers. $420,000 to Judge Halverson's Cayman account. 6. Recorded confession from your PI. You ordered him to plant drugs on my property. Gallery erupts. Gasps. Someone shouts. Judge Wolf's gavel cracks 3 times. I continue, voice calm. Arizona Revised Statute Section 12-1101. Improvements made by trespassers belong to rightful property owners. You spent 14 months and $51 million building me a neighborhood. So here's my offer. Vacate in 72 hours or I accept ownership of everything. Your choice. Delphine explodes from her chair. You can't. These families, you're destroying them. You're a monster. Judge Wolf's gavel sounds like thunder. Ms. Cray. Sit down or face contempt charges. Delphine collapses. Actually crumbles. Makeup streaking. The fall from power complete. Judge Wolf reviews documents. Looks at me. At Delphine. At the evidence mountain. Quiet title action granted. All property returns to Dalton Mercer. Cray Shield title liable for all claims. Federal prosecutors receive complete criminal referrals. This court is adjourned. Final gavel. U.S. Marshals enter from side door. Flight risk warrant. Outside, microphones shoved in my face. What happens to the families? I'm offering a path forward. Announcement next week, week 29. I own 96 homes. 54.7 million in real estate. 3 months later, Delphine sentenced to 18 years federal prison. Judge Halverson gets 12. Both disbarred. Cray Shield title liquidates. But that's not the story. The story's what happens next. I partner with Arizona Rural Housing Alliance. We convert the development into something Delphine never imagined. Actual community. 30 homes go to original buyers who did their homework early. The smart ones who pulled title searches and stayed anyway. They get 15% discounts. 35 become workforce housing. Teachers who can't afford Phoenix rent. Nurses, electricians, people who keep society running. 31 reserved for veterans and seniors at subsidized rates. No HOA. Residents form democratic co-op. Volunteer maintenance. Real neighbors, not bylaws. The Vernon T. Mercer Trade Scholarship launches with $750,000. Funds welding students, HVAC apprentices, plumbers, kids who'll build things with their hands. Vernon would have loved that. Iris opens a health clinic in the community center. Sliding scale fees. Treats 300 families monthly. Every fall we host fences and neighbors festival. BBQ smoke drifting across properties that used to be crime scenes. Kids running through sprinklers. Free legal workshops on property rights. 2,000 people showed up last year. Delphine's trial revealed 11 other fraud schemes across 4 states. One Nevada rancher fought back using a mining law from 1872. That's next week's story. Your turn, drop your HOA nightmare in the comments. Worst story gets featured next month. And subscribe, because 47 active fraud cases exist in Arizona alone, and these stories need telling. Final shot. Iris and me on our porch. Sunset painting the neighborhood gold. Children's laughter mixing with wind chimes and cattle lowing in the distance. Community garden flourishing where survey stakes used to be. The sign reads, Mercer Commons, built on justice, sustained by community. Sometimes you don't just win, sometimes you build something better from the wreckage.